It's a teen talk skating podcast where I embarrass myself. Hello, and welcome to a Teen Talks Game podcast. Wait, welcome to episode 90 of a Teen Talks Game podcast. Episode 90 is kind of crazy, but anyway, my name is Vanko. Hope you guys are all doing very, very well. And this week we have not a ton to talk about, honestly, but I feel like it's still really, really important. I feel like this is the last week before the figure skating season starts getting crazy, and it's just crazy every single week until March, which is crazy. So this is like the last normal I'm sane, I'm calm, I'm not gonna crash out kind of episode. I guess I don't really know. I hope you guys are all doing very well. This week was kind of crazy for me. There was like a ton of work to do, and there's like a ton of other things going on, and like I don't even know, guys. Like, I don't know. Like, my emotions were kind of a mess, and everything was kind of a mess, and everyone was kind of in a mess. It's just like, I don't know, but I was trying to help where I could. I was trying to get help when I could. I was trying to do what I could to help people and to get help myself. And just like, I don't know, life is so strange, and it leads you so many ways. And like, I don't know, like, there's something still a lot to reflect about and think about, and hopefully, like, I don't know, mature more, I guess. Not to get all like philosophical. This is a figure skating podcast, like not a teenager needs therapy podcast. But anyway, what else happening? I don't know. My hands are so dry. Like you guys don't understand. The cold has actually made my hands so dry. Literally drier than the Sahara Desert. Like I'm sorry. Like where is like oh my gosh. Like if I was a skater, I'd be wearing gloves like 24/7 because my hands would be so dry and an ice drink like 24/7. I literally like cannot. But yeah. Hope you guys are doing very well. Stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. But let's go over to our program of the week. And also my teeth hurt because I got my braces adjusted and now I sound like this. But let's go over to our program of the week before I start complaining too much, okay? Program of the week. Okay, so last week I believe we did a program. I think it was the 2002 Olympics I believe. Was that last week's program? I can't remember. But this week we have a program that just happened literally this year, last season, at the end of last season. So a very, very recent program, but I'm doing it because of my rule that I can do ones from the previous season and before that. Anywho, so this is a program by Anastasia Gubanova of Georgia. This is her free skate at the 2025 World Teen Trophy. The music was Balder and Freya by Powerhouse, Christian Reindl, and Lucy Parody. Um, this is what I would say is a contemporary program done right. I think when people think of contemporary dance, at least what I think of contemporary dance or kind of any kind of modern dance, it is so fluid. That's my main thing here. Is that modern contemporary dance can be so fluid and so unrelenting. It just doesn't really stop. There's no really room for pause, and I think it's very difficult to translate that kind of contemporary fluid dance, almost inflexible dance, or not inflexible, but flexible body kind of dance to the ice, I feel like. But this program, I think, does a really good job of it. I think Gubanova's strengths are really highlighted in this program. It's very contemporary. The beginning I really like. There is kind of no emotion in the beginning almost, but there's almost so much no emotion that you do feel kind of emotional. It's mysterious. It's tense. Um, so yeah, she starts out kind of just stepping forward, and she kind of towards the judges, and then she heads into her crossover. It's a bit mysterious. It's a bit different. It's a bit cool in that way. But she ends up going to her crossover. She does a couple of her first jumps are really nice. Um, in the first half of the program, I really like the what was it? I believe it was a triple sow. She lands it, and then she lands it like perfectly normal, and then she adds extension to it. Like she doesn't immediately go into the extension like right away, but there's a split second where she isn't in extension, and then she kind of reaches forward and reaches back with her leg to get into that extension. I think it's a really nice detail. There. I really do enjoy I feel like the transitions throughout the different positions in the spin are kind of a good, like, I don't know, one of her good, skating styles, and I did feel like it matched kind of the music here. It was constantly changing the music, and I feel like that kind of constantly changed the positions of the spin as well. But let's see, what else? I loved the very last jumping passes. The last jumping pass was a regular double axel, and you could just see in the skating how less tense she became, I feel like, because the step sequence is my favorite part of this program. This has to be one of like an underrated step sequence in my opinion because it is so explosive. The music really reaches its break point, its climax, and it is so explosive and it leaps out at you. And she covers so much ice in those first few steps. She has so much speed and so much control over her blades that I think it just adds to a very explosive launching forward effect. There's so much use of the arms and the body. It makes her a very energetic finish to the program. And then the second to last spin, she does this really nice twizzle leading up to it, and then she goes into that camel position. Again, really nice transitions, really nice everything. Last sit spin is also quite nice. Nice arm positions throughout it. And so it's just very creative in my opinion. It's not crazy, like I've never seen this before, but it's a very good use in the music in my opinion. It is modern, it is contemporary, and it doesn't have a skating feel to it. It does very much feel like contemporary dance translated onto the ice. There's not many not unnecessary pause. I feel like it does feel very fluid to me. It does feel very almost natural, doesn't feel rehearsed almost, and I don't know, that step sequence is probably my favorite part. It just felt like a release of energy, and I really enjoyed it. But anyway, go check it out after you listen to this episode on Nastasia Gubanova and her 2025 World Team Trophy free skate. And now it's time for our main episode. That was your program of the week. Okay, guys, so it's time for our main episode. I do have my son Stitch here and my daughter Makamae, the Nene bird from Hawaii, with me because I need therapy. I don't know. This is bad, guys. When you're old like me and you still talk to your stuffed animals, that's how you know you're yeah, that's how you know you need help. Um, anyway, let's talk about our main episode this week. This main episode, last week's episode, also had kind of two parts. I talked about the Challenger Series Dennis 10 Memorial last week, which you should totally check out. And I also kind of did a half episode on that about kind of the idea of longevity. And it was kind of a mini video essay that I kind of just threw in for the sake of extra time and also just because I had that kind of idea flowing in my head. This week is pretty much the same. I did do this last year as well, around this time because there was a Challenger Series event last weekend that I want to talk about. But this weekend that you guys are going to hear this episode, the day it's going to be released, is the start of the Figure Skating Grand Prix series, the Grand Prix of Figure Skating. And obviously, those are really, really huge events, even huger than the Challenger Series. These are the very utmost top skaters in the world competing at the Grand Prix. And so I really want to discuss kind of a preview of that. But first, we're gonna talk about the Challenger Series event that happened last weekend. This is a brand new Challenger Series event. Last month, we also had a new Challenger Series event with the Kinoshita Group Cup in Japan. And this month, we also have another brand new Challenger Series event in Georgia, in Tbilisi, Georgia. And that is the Challenger Series Trialeti Trophy 2025. I don't know what Trialeti actually means. I think it might be a brand or something that may have, oh no, it's like a region. Okay, it's a region in Georgia. That's pretty cool. Trialeti, maybe. I'm very sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but okay, it's cool. It's like a region in Georgia. Okay. Anyway, the Trialeti Trophy in Georgia is a new competition. I believe this is one of the first competitions, at least senior wise, that Georgia is hosting. I don't know if they have hosted a junior event before, the junior Grand Prix event. But I do know that I believe this is the first senior event they're hosting, at least a very big senior international event in Georgia that they're hosting because I found out that the country Georgia just recently got their first permanent ice rink, and so I guess this competition is a great way to kind of build up the media for that, build up the excitement for that. And also geographically, I think it's a good choice because there aren't really a lot of figure skating competitions in that region of the world, and so having a challenge series there, I think it's an optimal move for the Georgian Federation and for the ISU just to expand more globally. But yeah, definitely a good choice, I feel like. And I would love to see more Challenger Series competitions in the future in from countries that, usually don't have, maybe a huge figure skating culture, or they don't have a lot of ice rinks, and just so we can bring more events to different places of the world. Because I think the Challenger Series is a great idea, and very fun to see skaters compete all the time, obviously. But anyway, like I said, it's a new competition. There were actually a lot of the same competitors for this competition, the Trialeti Trophy, as there were the same competitors at as there was at I don't even know as there was at the Challenger Series Dennis Ted Memorial last week, or at least yeah, the week before it, basically, because I think geography wise, like Kazakhstan and Georgia are relatively close to each other, like closer than like Germany and Japan kind of thing. And so Kazakhstan and Georgia are kind of close to each other, so it was probably a lot easier for some skaters to hop on a quick plane, go over to Georgia after competing in Kazakhstan, and so there were a lot of skaters who kind of just did both competitions. So you'll hear a lot of repeat names if you listen to last week's episode, which you definitely should, and I hope you definitely did. Yeah, I know you. I know you did. You should have. You should have. Um. Okay. Okay, let's go over to our event. There were all four disciplines here, so men, women, pairs, and ice dance. So I'm gonna provide kind of a quick idea, understanding of all of these events. Okay. In the men's event, where should we start, people? This is kind of a chaotic men's event, as men's events tend to kind of be. I'm gonna start in 10th place. 10th place, we had Donovan Carrillo of Mexico. The fan favorite skater. He recently qualified a spot for Mexico at the Olympics, which was a very huge, 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 huge deal. Um, He did kind of struggle here, unfortunately. He was 10th in the short program, under rotations on his quad sal and his triple axel, slight error on that triplet, and then he had a 9th place free skate with a few of the same errors again, under rotations, and then a popped quad toe into a double toe. But he did get that quad sal done in the beginning. Okay. And ninth place was kind of like this, like very like premium example, I feel like, of the men's competition was Alexander Selevko of Estonia, and he was third place in the short program here, just a fall on the quad toe at the very end of his program. And then he was also 11th place in the free skate, a couple of errors there, a popped quadlets into a triplet, um, let me see. He fell on a quad toe that he also repeated. He let me see, invalidated double axle, repetition call on the triplets. Just added up those technical errors. Repetition calls, unfortunately, were the main issue. He couldn't get those combos off, so that really hurt his technical score, and he slipped down to 9th place overall. We saw Alexander Lefko. We saw him, what was it, 2 seasons ago at Europeans, and that amazing result that he had at Europeans. He has kind of continued to kind of deliver relatively well, maybe not amazingly, but he has been decent in his skating. Just I think here was just too many technical errors made, unfortunately. In 8th place from Azerbaijan was Vladimir Litvintsev, who was 12th place in the short program here. Unfortunate short program. Under rotation on the flip, and then a combo call on that. And then he was 7th place in the free skate, with a good on his very big major elements. Did pop a single loop, downgraded on the Euler, and then a triple sal, and then a slight on the flip, but got his quads done, got his very first triple axel done cleanly as well. So, good program. I think Vladimir Litvintsev, I think I discussed this. I think he was competing last week. Was he competing last week at the Cup? I don't remember. But I remember saying that I always felt like he was kind of a dark horse, and that he did have kind of the technical potential to kind of move up the ranks and everything. Just that, he just doesn't have the most consistency, I guess. But he has had some decent results at Europeans. He's had some decent results at Worlds before. Um, I don't know if this is going to be his last season. He has been competing for quite a bit now. I'm not sure if this is his last season yet, but I'm hoping that he can kind of end off with a bang if he does. I feel like he's always been in the conversation for like a European medal, European top five, that kind of thing. Just that unfortunately with consistency issues, he's never really been able to execute that super duper well, but I definitely see the potential there. Moving up to seventh place as an up and coming U.S. star of Daniel Martinov. He was fourth place in the Shibarium with a new personal best. Did have two spin errors at the end, but he did get a quad toe done. Very impressive. He was in eighth place he was in eighth in the free skate. He did pop a quad toe, popped a single axle. He wanted a triple axle, double axle for sure, but he only did a double double. And then a slight error on that flip Euler Sal at the end of the program. My teeth hurt so bad. Oh my gosh. But, I do think Daniel Martinov is, again, another, kind of up and coming skater from the US. There's so many men coming up from the US. I haven't heard his name enough. He's been on the junior level, I know for sure. Yeah, he's been on the junior level. Last season he was mostly on the Challenger series and doing things on the Challenger series. And he kind of has been up and about here and there in the US grand scheme of things. And so I'm really hoping that, with this next quad, hopefully that he'll be able to develop further and kind of contribute to this really, really rich growing field that I think the US men really have. Yeah. In sixth place here was Seung Lee of South Korea, the guy we love for always doing two hands above his head on every single jumping pass because the aesthetics. Here in the show program, he did have a really big stumble on his quad toe, quarter triplets, under rotation triple toe. And then in the free skate, he was in sixth place, under rotations on the quad toe, triple axle, and then the triple lutz. The rest of the jumps were done cleanly though. Not as high Dewey on the clean elements, but still pretty decent. Um, we talk about South Korea. I remember saying that South Korea has two men spots. One of them for sure. I mean, and I know like for sure is going to Jiwon Cha. The other Korean men spot could really go to a lot of men. There are kind of a lot of men in the mix for that. We have, you know, Young Lee obviously is in that. Let me see. Can you compete? Oh my gosh, which one of these men can compete on the senior level? Was it this guy? I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Ju Hyung Lim that could compete on the senior level as well. A couple other skaters who are able to compete on the senior level. Hyung Young Kim can also compete on the senior level, and he is eligible for the Olympics. So up in the air, but Seong Lee does have one of those leading spots. He did go to the Olympics last time. He didn't qualify for the free skate, unfortunately, but this could be his kind of opportunity to maybe kind of prove his case to do that. In fifth place from Poland, we had Vladimir Samoilov, who was ninth place in the short with a popped quad sal, unfortunately, and then he was fifth place in the free. Popped quad lutz into a triple lutz, but got the rest of the jumps done, edge call on the triple flip, and then unclear edge on a double flip later in the program. So I don't know. I haven't seen I feel like flip errors in a long time, but unfortunately for him, he kind of fell prey to those edge calls late there. Okay. In fourth place was Arlet Levandi of Estonia. He was eighth place in the short under rotation on the triple axle. And then he had a very redeeming fourth place free skate, quarter on the triple axle, quarter on the triple toe, unclear edge on the triple flip, but the rest of it was done well. Estonia, what is Estonia's kind of situation now? Does Estonia have. Oh my gosh, I need to figure out. I need to actually have a list with me about Olympic spots for every single country. I believe Estonia only has one spot. Is that right? I think Estonia only has one spot. Yeah, so Estonia only has one spot, and I would say it's actually quite a battle between Alexander Shalevko, Mikhail Shalevko, and Arlet Levandi. Obviously here Arlet Levandi came out on top above Alexander Shalevko, but Slavko also kind of had a fluke free skate that didn't go so well, and then his brother Mikhail is also a very strong skater. So actually, I feel like Estonia is kind of one of those fields that might actually be a lot more competitive than maybe we originally thought. I'm so tired. Okay, in third place, I really want to note this is from Tomoki Hiwatashi of the USA. He was fifth place in the short here, quad toe error, and then a slight spin error. And then he was third place in the free for third place overall, quad toe stumble, and then a quarter on the triple lutz Euler triple flip on both of those jumps in the second half of the program. Tomoki Iwatashi is kind of having like not an uprise, I would say, but like decent results that kind of are kind of going somewhere, I guess. We've seen him already at three Challenger Series competitions this season. At the first, he was ninth with only 201 points. He went to Kinoshita Cup about a month later and he got 236 points. And then he went here at the Trialeti Trophy and he got 237 points, which those two last scores, 236, 237 range, are like pretty decent compared to a lot of the other US men. The US have three spots for the men at the Olympics. I've already said this a lot, I feel like, but I feel like the locks are definitely Ilya Molina and Jason Brown. And then that third spot is open to anyone. And this really could be Tomoki Iwatachi kind of praying up, kind of sneaking up to get that spot. This is very interesting results to me. And I feel like he might be kind of trying to get that spot. It'd be kind of interesting to see him get that spot for sure. Hasn't been the most consistent over that last quad, but he has been quite good this early season in getting his decent scores. And if he can put together a good short and a good free, I could really much see him packing his bags to the Olympics. Really could be great. So someone to pay attention to in that very tight US men's battle. In second place here was Jason Brown, who I also discussed last week. He was third last week. Jason Brown, when he competed in Kazakhstan. I feel like here he had a better competition. He was second in the short. He did fall on a triple axel in the short, but the components really did save him. And he was also second in the free skate with a relatively clean skate. He did pop the very first triple axel into a double axel, and so he didn't get two double axels done on the end of his combo that he usually does. But everything else, the components, the steps were high, very, very good as always. Wasn't perfect, but artistry is just one of his specialties, and I have really been enjoying his new free skate. His short program to Riverdance is good. I honestly love the free skate a lot better though, not gonna lie. But this new free skate to say something is so good, and it makes me warm, guys. It makes me warm for sure, and I really do enjoy it. I did talk about Jason a lot last week, so I feel like I should probably not talk about him a lot this week. But congrats to him for his second at his competition. In first place from Georgia itself was the home skater of Nika Igadze. He was first in the short program here with a clean skate except for a stumble on the quad toe, and then he was also first in the free skate. Did I already say that? He was first in the short, first and in the free skate. Did stumble again on another quad toe, got both quad styles done. A couple of slight errors on the rest of the jumps, including a fall at the end of his triple flip Euler triple sow combo, which was kind of unfortunate, but still pretty good. He is one of those skaters who is very, very strong technically. I noticed this season that he is not putting all 7 jumps straight in a row. He does have a spin in the middle of them. Congratulations for congrats, because I think that is probably the most strategic thing to do is have a break in the middle from the jumps, and maybe that is kind of the result of experimenting with his jump layout a bit more. I am kind of happy with that. I feel like I just feel like the overall aesthetic of a program is better when the jumps are very evenly divided or trying to be evenly divided. But good for Nikki Gadze here. Very, very good. Okay. So that was the men's event. Third was Tomoki Hiwatashi. Second, Jason Brown. First, Nika Igadze. Let's move over to our women's event. Okay, I'm gonna start in 12th place and then kind of like move upwards and skip around a little bit. In 12th place was Star Andrews. Guys, I feel really bad for this one. Star Andrews is obviously like I feel like she's a fan favorite in the US. I think she's a fan favorite. I love her skating. I love her expression. I love her style. Unfortunately, just never been the most technically consistent skater. She was fourth in the short program here with a clean skate, and then she was 15th in the free skate. Unfortunately, just under rotations on almost every jump, and then she did fall on a triple loop. Unfortunately, just an unfortunate skate, I feel like, but she didn't pop any of the jumps except a double sow. She just under rotated them, unfortunately. She's a strong skater. I would say sorry, Andrew's a strong skater. Just technically the jumps have not always been there for her when, we wanted them to be. Definitely lots of stumbles in this program, but she's a strong skater, guys. Like I love Star Andrews, and so I hope this is just one bad thing. I want to talk also about in 10th place from the US, also Ava Marie Ziegler, who is coming back from surgery. She was such a great skater to watch 2 seasons ago, and now she was injured all of last season, and now she's back for this season. She was 16th in the short program here. Unclear edge on the triplets, and then a pop single flip. But she had a very redemptive 8th place free skate that she looked very happy with. A clean program except for a pop single toe and then a under rotation on the triple sal, but everything else was clean. As she would like it, and it was a really good result for her. And her skating skills are still there. Maybe the jumps are not as strong as they used to be coming back from injury, but the components I feel like are still there. The skating skills are still there. The nice flow is still there in her skating that I really appreciate. Okay, let's move up to this was a really crazy women's event. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at these ordinals from 4th to 15th. Oh my gosh, this is okay. In 7th place here, we had Rinko Watanabe of Japan. She was 15th in the short program. Under rotation on a triple axel attempt, a fall and quarter on the triple lutz, and then a triple loop under rotation, and then a fall on that, unable to get that combo down. And then she had a very redemptive 6th place free skate. Still not amazing. Quarter on the triple axel, under rotation on that triple toe, downgraded triple axel, under rotated triple lutz, single lutz as well. She has a very, very, very risky technical layout with those two triple axels at the beginning. For sure, and I think, triple axel is a very valuable jump, obviously in base value and in the score you can get, but it is still, a jump that is so difficult to master, and she hasn't been, the most consistent skater with those jumps, and I do wonder sometimes if Rinka Watanabe could go without those jumps and try to stay clear on some of the other jumps that she has struggles with. I don't know, like, I don't live in her brain, obviously, I can't make her decisions for her, but I always wondered, I always thought Rinka Watanabe was kind of a pretty decent skater, and then she came out with these very intense programs and very technical programs that I really did enjoy the look of. But I don't know. I guess the consistency issues with the triple axel are unfortunate. Maybe she gets a lot more consistent somehow this season with those, and she could really, end up with a good showing at Japanese nationals, Olympic team, la la la. Okay. In 6th place was Young Kim of South Korea, who was similarly to Rinka Watanabe. She was 14th in the short, downgrade on the triple lutz, and then a triple flip air as well. So no combo for her. And then she was 5th place in the free skate, very redemptive. Quartered on a couple of her jumps, and then a fall, unfortunately, on the triple lutz with an unclear edge. But the rest of the jumps were decent. In 5th place, we had Asan Yoon from South Korea, who is kind of been hidden for me, honestly. Not hidden, but I feel like, she's really starting to make her mark now when it really does matter in the sense of the Olympic season. South Korea has 2 spots for the women. Could be hers, maybe a secret dark horse going for that Olympic spot. Not too sure, but she is someone who I feel like has had pretty solid results here and there, and so I don't know, but she was 6th place in the short here, fall on the triple lutz, and then a 4th place free skate for 5th overall. Just 2 popped triple flips at the end, um, unfortunately for her. Okay. In 4th place was another kind of crazy result. She was 2nd in the short program and 7th in the free skate for 4th overall. That is Anna Pizzetta of Italy. She was 2nd in the short with just a quarter on the triple flip and a slight not enough rotations in her spin. And then she was 7th in the free skate with a fall and a triple flip, a couple of errors, and she did pop a double lutz and a double loop as well. But they weren't terrible errors, just that first initial error. She did get all 3 of her combos down, which I know has kind of been a bit of a struggle with her, for her, unfortunately, when not every element kind of works out in the originally intended way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so tired. But good showing for her. In 3rd place was the champion of last week's competition, the Challenger Series Denison Memorial. She was 3rd here at the Trialeti Trophy. That is Haein Lee, South Korea. She was 3rd here with quarter and an under rotation on the lutz toe, and then an under rotation on the triple flip. I feel like the judges have actually really been harsh on her under rotations. I feel like last competition they were a little harsh. Yes, they were very obvious under rotations, but I feel like before they weren't maybe as harsh. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions, but anyway, the free skate was a bit of a struggle as well. Couple under rotations, couple unclear edges on the triple flips. She did pop a triple loop into a single loop as well. Okay. Okay, and second place was Maria Sanyuk. She was fifth place here in the short program with a triple flip, triple toe quarter, and a triple lutz, kind of slight air. And then she was second in the free skate, clean program except for a pop single axle. After the triple lutz, that she really wanted that double axle for sure. But personal best across the board for Maria Sanyuk. Decent job from her. And then fourth place from Georgia, the home country skater, was Anastasia Gubanova, the same one I mentioned in the program of the week, actually. She was first in the short program, did make an air on the triple lutz, was a bit of a step out, uncontrolled step out on that lutz. In the free skate, she was first, quarter on the triple flip and on the double axle at the end, but everything else was very clean. I like these new programs for her. I think they are better than what she's previously had, things like that. But yeah, good for her for winning for Georgia. Okay. In pairs, I'm just gonna talk about the top. I don't know. Let's just talk about the top three in pairs. Uh, in third place was Shannon Howe from the USA. This was a very surprising result for me. They haven't had the most, the best results in the few recent seasons. They were pretty good at the beginning of the quad, but Shannon Howe were really good here. They were third in the short program with a new personal best short program, clean skate, and then they were fourth in the free skate. Couple errors on the side by side, did fall on a waltz jump. It looks like did pop a double toe, slight error on the triple flip throw, but the pair elements were decent. The U.S. pairs currently have two spots for the Olympics. Chen and Hao are a team that could, take one of those. Obviously, they could take one of those, and this is a very good step towards that. Not clean, but they're building back strong. I feel like this is a really good initial competition for them. Okay. My teeth hurt so bad. And for and sorry, in second was the German team of Hasse and Boliden. They were second in the short program here with a clean skate except for their spin at the end, and they were second also in the free skate. Again, a couple of errors on the side by side jumps kept them from doing it. They did pop a triple flip throw into a double flip throw. I don't see that very often, but unfortunately, that's what happened to them here. Just a fluke mistake on that, getting that rotation done. Yeah, but still very competitive. They have been on the world podium now. They've been strong in these only past two seasons together as a team as a whole. It's been very impressive, and very good for them. In first place was the Georgian team, however, of Metlakina and Barulava. They were first in the short program with a new personal best, clean skate. First in the free skate, just a quarter on their double axle. The last one of their triple sal double axle combo. Everything else was clean. Personal best overall. They got a world record in base value somehow, which is kind of crazy. But I heard it's something to do with the spins. I don't know, or the lifts or something that's really more. I don't know, complicated. But personal best across the board for a personal best overall. A lot of people saw this as home cooking because they're Georgian skaters getting at home in Georgia, therefore they would get higher scores. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but their performance wasn't like outstanding to me that it deserved very high components, the ones that they were getting. Um, but it was good for sure. It was clean. Technically, it was very strong. Artistically, it was like okay, it's fine. But yeah, good for them. Okay, people, let's talk lastly about the dance on the ice, starting again in third place. Third place was Demijo and Le Messier of France, who were second in the rhythm dance here with a clean skate, and then they were third in the free dance. French ice dance is kind of complicated right now, and it's so complicated, man. It's genuinely so complicated that I don't really know where to start. They could definitely make the Olympics. We'll have to see how the international judges judge Fournier, Baudry, and Titeron. We'll see how that group gets kind of scored, and then we'll see if maybe Denajo and Le Messier actually do have a chance. We'll definitely see. In second place was the Australian team of Harris and Chan. They are the best team, in my humble opinion. They are the best team because they're just the best. They were fourth in the rhythm dance here. I think just not as high levels as they would have liked. They did get a couple high scores from the other individual judges, but just not, I guess, in their in the overall. And then they were second with a new personal best in the free skate. Clean, 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 clean. I love this Claire Loon for them. Very creative, very not creative. It's Claire Loon, but very innovative with the sense of music, I guess. But I really like them. So yeah. In first place in the Iceland event was a Georgian team of Diana Davis and Gleb Smolkin. They were first in the rhythm dance here with a clean skate, and they were also first in the free dance with a clean skate. Personal best overall. So I don't know. Again, like Georgians getting personal best out of Georgian competition. I don't know, people. I don't know. Maybe it is a little home cooking. I know a lot of people didn't like it and they're like, oh, okay. But I don't want to say anything, so you didn't hear from me. Did I think maybe? Maybe. But you did not hear from me. So yeah, another interesting thing to note is that Georgia won every single one of these competitions. Nikki Godse for the men, Gubanova for the women, Metlakina Barilava for the pairs, and Davison Smolkin for the ice dance. So I don't really know. I think all of them deserve their win. I wouldn't say all of them like deserve their really, 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 really high score, especially in pairs and ice dance. I feel like those are the two like, oh yeah. I don't want to give my opinion though, even though I kind of just did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Don't blame me, please. Don't. Please. 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 I'm sorry, guys. Okay. To end off kind of the last 10 minutes of this episode, I want to talk about the Grand Prix series. I did already do a preview of this back in like what was that, June probably of this year, July, when they first, and I mean they first released the Grand Prix assignments out. Um and so I already have kind of done a kind of overview of this and analysis of this, but things have changed as people have kind of withdrawn and everything. But I want to just take a brief overview of what the Grand Prix is, my thoughts on it, the dynamics I'm seeing, and all the trajectories I'm seeing. So basically, the Grand Prix is a set of six figure skating competitions that are competed by the top skaters in the world. And the better you place at your usually two competitions that you get, the more of a chance you have to qualify for the Grand Prix final. There is a whole point system that I won't explain because it's a little bit complicated. A little bit complicated. But basically, you just want to do as best as you can, and you want to be able to qualify for the Grand Prix final, which this year will be held in Nagoya in Japan. And so there's six competitions. The first one is the Grand Prix de France in Angers, France. There is the Cup of China in Chongqing, China. There is the Skate Canada International in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, Canada. The NHK Trophy will be held in Kadoma in Osaka in Japan. Skate America will be held in Lake Placid in New York in the US. And the Finlandia Trophy is the last one, which will be held in Helsinki in Finland. So, like I said, there will be six of those competitions, and you just want to do as best as you can to qualify. Big names competing at each one. A lot of they like to spread out the big names. At least the skaters who did really well at the previous years. Well, it's complicated. Okay, I'm gonna spare you the details. I'm sorry. I'll spare you the details. I'll spare you all the details. Okay, because I understand it's a little bit complicated for people. I'm sorry. But anywho, let's see. So yeah, my initial thoughts on who will qualify for the Grand Prix final. So only six skaters from each discipline can qualify to the Grand Prix final. So six men, six women, six pairs, and six ice stands. My thoughts on who will qualify for the Grand Prix final. For the men, I think the men is a little easier. I don't want to say easy, but it's easier to figure out. Though I'm so prepared for some crazy, very crazy kind of fluke in there of a skater who we didn't expect to qualify but might just qualify anyway. I think Ilya Malinin will definitely qualify. I think Yuma Kayama of Japan will definitely qualify. Those are the two I'm sure will be a lock. I am kind of hoping another Japanese man qualifies, and I feel like it's kind of likely to be I don't know. I feel like it's kind of likely to be Shun Sato that would qualify if his results and consistency are there, but he has been pretty decent. Adam Shamfa of Japan, Adam Shamfa of France could definitely qualify too. I definitely could see Kevin Amos of France also qualifying. But in terms of who's most likely, I would say Ilya Malinin, Yuma Kageyama, Shun Sato, Daniel Grazel maybe of Italy, Mikhail Shidorov of Kazakhstan, and probably Adam Shamfa of France. But there are a lot of other surprises that could happen. I definitely could see Nika Igate that we just mentioned from Georgia qualify. I could see a surprise maybe from someone like Juwon Cha of South Korea to qualify. I even could see Jason Brown qualifying if he did well enough, guys. I'm just saying, just putting out some options there. Putting out some options, okay? The women's field I don't even want to discuss because I feel like the women are actually the hardest to decide who will qualify. I would say for sure, like I think for sure. Like I don't like saying that. I don't like saying for sure this person's gonna qualify because you never actually know. But as far as I think Amber Glenn will qualify. I think Isabel Levito will qualify. I think Harry Sakamoto will qualify. I think Amy Nakai will qualify. I think Moni Chiba will qualify. And I think Alyssa Lee will qualify. I don't know. Alyssa might be it might be three US women and three Japanese women who qualify. That's what maybe my prediction is. But again, lots of surprises. I could see Gubanova qualifying. I think Gubanova, if she puts together some great programs and great scores, she could qualify the heck out of this competition. She definitely could. Um she could. And so that is kind of a potential there. Um, yeah, Gubanova, who else would be a good surprise? Wakabe Higuchi could definitely qualify. She did go to Worlds last year for Japan. Maybe another like Japanese woman with a lot of good potential, like technically Rinka Watanabe, maybe. I don't know. Like lots of big names here, I think that could very much qualify for these competitions. Yeah. Okay. And the pairs is something I'm not as familiar with, but I would say the people I think will qualify are Mirin Kihara of Japan, Conti Amachi of Italy, Hase Volinen of Germany, Menzukina Barulava of Georgia, Stellato Deschamps of Canada, and maybe throw in, who would be like good to kind of like throw in there as a fun surprise, maybe. I would say Pavlova Sviatchenko of Hungary because I think they could be a bit of a surprise because we don't know yet. But again, a lot of other big names here like Sui and Han, who were the 2022 Olympic champions, are making a comeback, which could be absolutely crazy. We haven't seen them in a while, and they could make a comeback that could be really strong. I don't know. We could see them coming back. I could see something from one of the U.S. teams. Kamala Shea could qualify for Grand Prix final again. Maybe Efimova Mitrofanov are going to qualify. I don't know, guys. I don't know. And that's kind of concerning to me, okay? Yeah. Okay, and then the last discipline is the ice dance discipline. My thoughts on who will qualify the ice dance, which I feel like is a little bit more predictable, but honestly, nothing is predictable this season, and I'm gonna crash out over that. Chalk and Bates will qualify for sure, right? For sure. Gillis and Poirier of Canada are gonna qualify for sure. I'm not letting that not happen. Fear and Gibson of Great Britain are gonna qualify. Guillaume Fabry of Italy are gonna qualify. Oh, who else? I feel like Herrera and Ponomarenko have the chance to qualify, also from the US. And I kind of want to throw in a fun one, like Smart and Deke could qualify. Oh, Lejoie Laga could qualify too. Dang it. So Lejoie Laga are probably my last one, and then maybe Smart and Deke would be the strange, different one. But I also could see Loporeva Brissot of France qualifying again. Maybe the dreaded Fournier Baudry and Cizeron could qualify, even though people, I don't know, guys. I don't know about them. We have to see them, but whatever, it's fine. Or maybe it's the ship sips who qualify, the ones that we haven't seen in forever, but you never know in this sport, okay? You never know. Yeah, but those are my initial thoughts. Kind of in the dynamics of each discipline, the men are very interesting because I do feel like at this kind of point in the men's competition, it feels like all of them are trying to chase after Ilya Malinin, who is very much the top US man, the top man in the world, the man who has been pretty undefeated for generally undefeated for a while now. He's been world champ twice now. And so it feels like a lot of them are kind of chasing after them. But even within that chase, there's so much competition within that chase to be the next big skater, the next big thing. We had kind of the rise of Mikhail Shidorov last season that was so interesting. And I could see that happening to another man this season as well. Maybe some youngster is going to come up and rise in the ranks. I don't know. And so it is kind of a wild goose chase almost in the men's competition. So much risk, so much jumps, so much quads that are being chased, that are being done. I think that could be kind of the key to everything here. Um, in the women's discipline, I feel like the women's discipline is always so unpredictable. A lot of the women are competing with very similar technical jumps, a lot of similar spins, things like that. There are a couple women, like some of the Japanese women, like Hana Yoshida or Rinka Watanabe, who are incorporating triple axels in their skates. Amber Glennon from the US is also incorporating a triple axel into her programs. And so it does feel very interesting. But again, so one mistake, it could be very detrimental to me in the women's discipline because all the scores are very, very tight usually. And I feel like one mistake could change everything. It's very tense. And I think that will be a battle of who can stay the most clean in that competition. The pairs are very interesting. The pairs to me are kind of an international battle and competition between these big, big rivals. We have the team from Japan, Mirahara Hassan Volodin of Germany, Conti Machi of Italy, Slado Didek Deschamps from Canada, and so many, lots. I don't know. A lot of them have had kind of traded around titles, traded around medals for a couple seasons now. But this is really going to be the season where they show who is on top, and I think the Grand Prix will be a great look into that. Ice dance is strange. We usually think of ice dance, to me at least, as a very stable discipline, but at least this season, ice dance is kind of strange because there's so many teams coming back, so many teams that we are kind of uncertain of, so many teams that we don't know. Because last season, ice dance kind of ended off with a shock with kind of disrupting the normal flow of things with Guillaume Fabry not getting a world bronze, Fearon Gibson getting it instead. Lots of strange happenings last season, like Lopreva and Brissot were kind of a strange kind of happening last season that we didn't necessarily expect, I guess, but that we got anyway, and we don't really know what's going to happen in that discipline. And so I really do think that everything is kind of about setting up towards the Olympics, building up good trajectory towards the Olympics. This season is so important. The Grand Prix is so important towards building up that good trajectory towards the Olympics. It's all about building up momentum so that when you get to the Olympics, you are kind of on that run for that Olympic goal, that final stretch of maybe your entire career is trying to get an Olympic medal, which could be crazy. But this season's Grand Prix is extra strange and it will be extra difficult and it'll be extra interesting to, I think, analyze and explain because there are going to be so many results that are so different, so strange that than we're used to. There's so much room for error. There's so much room for surprise. And so it's going to be so interesting. I love this aspect of the sport because it is so unpredictable. I truly cannot tell you who's going to win the Olympic gold because I feel like I have the chance to be wrong. Anyone has the chance to be wrong. And it could be anyone's game. It really could. It could be my game. I could skate right now and go to the Olympics. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. I wish, but in terms of the like upper class international skating field that are very competitive and the upper echelon of the skating world, they are anyone's game there. It could be such a huge surprise this season, and I'm so excited for the Grand Prix. But the Grand Prix has actually kind of started as I'm recording this. It's already been day one of the Grand Prix. But anyway, next week I will be doing my very first Grand Prix review of this season with the Grand Prix de France. I know that's technically going on right now, but just shush. I know it's always going to be a week behind. So Grand Prix de France will end this weekend, but I will get the episode about it out next weekend. And it'll just continue like that for a bit until we reach the Grand Prix final, and then we have a little bit of a break for all the nationals and stuff, and then European sport continents, and then the Olympics. So this will be get ready for a crazy 6 weeks of Grand Prix. Actually, kind of 7 weeks because of the final. 8 weeks, kind of, because there's kind of a break in between. I don't know. But I will be trying to watch as much as I can of the Grand Prix and all the other competitions going on. I am kind of a busy student all the time these days, and I've been struggling honestly to watch as much skating as I can. But I love skating, and I just love skating way too much to kind of stop watching it. And so I'm hoping that you guys will join me along for the ride as I review these Grand Prix competitions, as I review what's going on in this crazy world, in this crazy sport that we all love. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to episode 90 of the Teen House Gaming Podcast. I hope you loved hearing me rant about the Challenge Series Trialeti Trophy 2025, as well as a preview of the Grand Prix of Figure Skating Series that will be the most exciting competitions, at least so far in this season. And yeah, I will hear from you guys next week and next episode about the Grand Prix de France. Thank you, and bye bye.